Sagittarius Ascendant, Sagittarius Rising. This is your June 2020 eclipse preview. 2 eclipses in this month. I'm going to give you the dates. I'm going to give you the degrees. We're going to go over them and we're going to find out the 4 areas of your life that are going to be affected by these eclipses. Now, there is another eclipse after the 2 in June, and I will brush new areas of your life that will be affected. And we'll just skim over the top of that one because I'll come out with a more detailed video later on, but I'm going to have that one at the end. That way you can get at least an understanding of what to expect. In the meantime, I'm also going to then bring in Mercury. Mercury's changing signs right here at the end of May, and it is leaving the sign of Gemini, and it's going to go into the sign of Cancer. Mercury represents what we think about, how we talk, how we communicate, how we relate. Mercury has everything to do with how we tell stories, the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell others. Mercury is the scribe, right? Takes care of keeping track of information, writes stories. Mercury is all about information and communication and bringing in knowledge. And so sharing knowledge, right? This is like this platform, vlogging, whether you're vlogging or blogging or simply just posting things at different social sites. And that is Mercury, social media, because it's all about the exchange of knowledge, or not, right? Fact or crap, but the exchange of information. So realizing that when it changes from one sign to the next, it changes the way it operates, it changes what it focuses on, it changes what it's been chewing on. So we're going to go ahead and dive deep into your Sagittarius all astrology. Mercury is leaving Gemini. Now Gemini and Mercury go really well together because Mercury rules Gemini. The information when Mercury was in Gemini was moving very quickly, almost at a rate where one day there was one thing occurring and then the next day something else was occurring, although it might have been on the same topic. So there could have been major contradictions because things were moving so fast. Mercury has wings, moves at high speeds. And when things move at high speeds, sometimes the details get lost. If people aren't careful, they're immediately seeing something, assuming it's fact, immediately turning right around, hitting that post button and letting it go as though, right, it's solid information, didn't do the homework, didn't bother to research, just a big release, a big incoming of knowledge, and then a big release of it, just super fast flows. So now when Mercury goes into Cancer, Cancer's water, and it's going to be slowed down. It's not going to move as fast. And water energy, especially Cancer, is emotions come into play. I'm not going to say that things are going to be worse or better as far as thinking and communication, because this whole time Mercury has been getting a square from the planet Neptune while it's been in Gemini energy, and Mars, and a whole bunch of other things where it's not been functioning at a high level. And so we've been witnessing that, right? And if you look at social media or the news, you see different things and it's like, whoa, what were they thinking? Whoa, there was no thinking going on there. So this is this different faces of Mercury energy, okay? Because Mercury, being the ruler of Gemini, is very flexible. It can jump on the bandwagon over here on this topic and then at the same time flip the script and jump on the other opposite end and say, oh, but I want this, or I believe in this. And it's like this big contradiction. It's like, I don't get it. I'm confused. And that's the times that we're in, confusion, right? Uncertainty. Mercury, like I've been saying it over and over because Neptune is such a big factor. It's really this layer of discernment. We're learning how to be better thinkers, how to be more critical thinkers, how to be better independent thinkers, and how to really figure out what is this? March and April and May and June and will be for the rest of 2020, this big tug of war between information and truth. Information and truth, and finding out they're not necessarily the same thing, and really having to find out through our own work and through our own experiences and time. Time brings truth. Mercury being really fast doesn't really want to have to wait. It wants its information right now. It's fast. Let me find out for you. Let's take a look at your chart because you're gonna, when you're listening to these videos, you're gonna want to listen for the degrees. All right, I've got a lot of people commenting and there's a lot of confusing information out there. I know I've listened to some high quality people on YouTube and have had classes, and people I've been reading and I'm hearing misinformation as far as how to understand, how to figure out what area of your chart you focus on when you're hearing, okay, we're going to have an eclipse in this sign. First of all, understand there's a lot of different charts. And so knowing what sort of a chart system the person that is reading off of is going to be key. So I use a tropical Placidus. And it's not necessarily that I think this is the best. I have more experience with this chart. I have found for me a greater success rate as far as accuracy and timing. And I used myself in my own life as an experiment in that. And then from there, went on to listening to what other people had to say about their lives and their feedback and their history. And I've just done a bunch of troubleshooting. So again, this is Tropical Placidus. And so I give out the degrees because the Tropical Placidus chart, houses are typically not going to be even. They're going to be, some are smaller and some are greater than others. And so this is why listening for degrees is important, because many folks' charts are going to have more than one sign in a house. A sign is always 30 degrees, but a house doesn't have to be 30 degrees. You can have a 60-degree house. Well, if a sign's only 30, then there has to be another sign in there to make up the rest of the degrees of that house, right? Listen for the degrees, okay? And if you're confused by anything I'm saying, if you need more information at any time during the video about anything I talk about, clarification, comment your question below. I get people who will just drop their birth digits and they don't have a question. It helps if you attach a question with it, because in a video I'm going through a lot of different topics. And I'm always saying, if you don't know, comment below. But give me a hint what you don't know so that I can be more efficient in answering back, because then we go through this whole phone tag or text tag thing where I ask a question and then it's like a week or two later I get a response, and it delays the process and it delays your way of getting information. So do yourself a favor and comment, make sure you're tapping like and make sure you're hitting the bell so that when I'm not only a fresh upload, but when I respond to you, you are then notified, right? Otherwise, why did you ask the question? Mercury, okay? Mercury moving 0 degrees Cancer. This happens like the last day of March. Yes, I don't know how many days are in March, so I'm just going to say the last day of March because I don't have it off the top of my head. But typically for Sagittarius ascendant, you're going to have your Cancer energy in your 8th house. So that means for all of May, you had Mercury in your 7th house. And so this was your significant one-on-one relationships. This is marriage. This could be business partnerships. This could be anybody that you're really close to. Anybody that you have this understanding, this tight relationship with. So whether you're blood relatives, doesn't matter. It's just anybody where we have this understanding and this closeness, this one-on-one. Gemini being there, meaning it's emphasized on talking and thinking and the way you relate. Okay, and it's Gemini's air and it's flexible. I talked a lot about Mercury already, and Mercury rules Gemini. So anytime you hear me speak about Mercury energy, I am talking about Gemini energy. That also means I'm talking about the 3rd house. For anybody who's paying attention because they're trying to learn, if you pay attention and take notes or re-listen, however you do it, you're going to glean a lot of knowledge here. Okay, so just keeping track of all these little nuggets that are given along the way will then really expedite your understanding process of all of this. So 3rd house energy for you, that's in your 7th house, Sag risings. So in relationships, one-on-one, it's really, there's got to be this rapport. There's got to be this talking and this communicating happening. Yes, we can communicate in ways that don't require speak, but typically then we're talking about writing, because Gemini, the sign of Gemini is the scribe. It is the writer. It is the person who's keeping track of shit. I want to keep track of shit. Who's keeping track of information, writing it down. However that is, right? Nowadays, we're doing this. So keeping track of information. Now, Gemini energy is also business because it's like trade. It's sales, right? It's people who can talk, people who can sell a thought, people who are teachers. Typically, it's in the 3rd house energy. So we're in grammar school at that time. In the 3rd house, right? That's why it's at that location. It's early in the chart. It's the 3rd house. It's where we're just beginning our learning and our understanding. It's just where we're beginning to be able to relate and to communicate. Gemini energy has the North Node there. So your 7th house, this is a big area of focus for the next 18 months for you. And this is relationships. This is developing those relationships, and those relationships going through a major transformation because the North Node is there. And when the North Node is somewhere, that means eclipses are going to be happening in that sign. And when eclipses come, they make major changes. They're like promises. It's like written in stone. All right, your North Node is your future. It's where you're going, but it's where your soul is saying, hey, this is where we're headed. Gemini energy, your 7th house, but Mercury was focused there. And now it's going into Cancer energy. So in Cancer energy, this is your 8th house. It's a progression. Think about this. Your 7th house, next number is 8. All astrology in general is a progression. It's this growth process. It's a measurement of cycles. It's the evolutionary frequency grid on paper that we can read by understanding symbols. And so the 8th house, the next stage is, how do we take this one-on-one thing we have, how do we take it to the next level? So when relationships get to that part where they're bonding energetically, okay, some say the bonding is physically, it's sex, but it doesn't have to be that, right? We can bond deeply emotionally. Typically, this 8th house is all about people who feel like family for you because you have Cancer energy there. It's my feelings. It is my emotional security. So when you're hooking up with somebody like that, there's this emotional satisfaction you feel when you're with them. Whether there's sex involved or not, again, doesn't have to be physical. It just has to do with who you are and where you are on your path, okay? Because that's what astrology is. This is this grand path, okay? Family is emphasized, and also females. Cancer energy is significant feminine energy. It's nurturing energy. Now, it doesn't have to be female beings. It can be anybody who can exude a feminine quality that is supportive, that is nurturing, that is mother-like. So 8th house, Mercury going through there, all of a sudden now, you're going to find out you might be having conversations with people that are definitely more about being nurturing as opposed to bringing facts and information and knowledge. It's going to be more about, this is how I feel, and listening to what other people feel. It's going to be all about emotions. Now, I want you to think about this, okay? The 8th house is past energy, past life stuff. The 8th house is deep, all right? It's ruled by Pluto. So this is family things from the past, okay? Going over and thinking of that, because that's what Mercury does. It thinks. So there could be a lot of thoughts, right? There could be, when you're in your downtime, there could be a lot of, reminiscing. Folks who felt like family, things about mom, mother issues. Do I want to be a mom? My emotions about being a mom. Maybe I'm not a mom and I want to be a mom. Things about my mother, things about, whatever those mother issues are, and understanding how it either gives or doesn't give you emotional security. Bottom line, we have to give ourselves. We have to be the ones who are responsible to emotionally nurture ourselves. This is what the sign of Cancer comes down to in a very specific personal way. Now, when we raise it up, okay, it goes to the level of humanity. I know some of these things seem confusing. Its ruler is the moon, and the moon, when we put it on a large scale, okay, because the small scale of Cancer, again, family, right? And who do you put in that bucket of family? But when you take it and escalate it and you go to the macro meaning, it then becomes, as a human being, who is my family? It's humanity, and understanding that we are all one. Humanity is my family. Cancer energy and Mercury being there just simply means being a little bit more thoughtful because you're thinking about feelings, being a little bit more concerned about others, and probably wanting to really relate deeply with others because the 8th house is a deep house, and wanting to connect with folks who are willing to connect with you in that deep way and talk about how we feel. One of the June eclipses happens here. And so now this takes me into the next part of this. The first eclipse is happening, okay, June 5th, and it happens at 15 degrees Sagittarian energy. So yes, this is in your sign. This is a big deal. Big deal because Sagittarian energy, this means it's in your first house, but find out what your rising sign degree number is. If you don't know, comment below. Anything you don't know, comment below. 15 degrees Sagittarius. First house, let's assume it's somewhere in the first house. If you don't have it on your ascendant, it won't be as extreme. But you do want to find out if you have a planet in your first house, okay? Find out, do you have any planets in Sagittarius? Gee, what the hell is the eclipse about? This eclipse is about a release. It's about a letting go. We are definitely letting go, folks. This is a south node lunar eclipse. The full moon eclipse, when a full moon comes, any eclipse, or I'm sorry, any full moon, when it comes, because it's a full moon and the moon is lit up, right? First of all, it's our emotions because it's the moon, but the moon being full lights something up. So typically there's a revelation attached with this. In your first house means there's a revelation about you. Sagittarian energy means my beliefs and my opinions. Well, if it's about me, then that means my beliefs and my opinions about me. Now, is it going to be just that? No, because Sagittarius means much more than that. Every sign means a plethora of things. But I'll glaze over some of the meanings for the Sagittarian stuff. But understand that it's definitely going to be focused on yourself. Now, Sagittarian energy also has to do with traveling long distances, right? Which means getting in a plane and flying. Sagittarian also means continuing education. It's higher education. It's, okay, I already got my degree, but I'm going for more schooling. If you've just graduated from high school, this is Sagittarian energy because I want to go away to school, okay? Keep in mind, folks, the South Node is in Sagittarian energy now, and the South Node is what we're letting go. It's what we're moving away from. It's what we're going to be seeing less of for the next 18 months. Sagittarian energy also represents my religion, my philosophy on life. It is my belief, it is my faith. Sagittarian energy is also your future because Sagittarian energy is Sagittarius is Jupiter is its ruler. So all you got to do is think about the sign of Jupiter now, okay? The sign of Jupiter is very expansive and it is more of I can see the entire forest as opposed to seeing all the individual trees. It sees everything, right? So it has a really good understanding of what's coming up down the road because it can see far away. It sees lots of stuff. So it's a very strong energy for having foresight, right? Thinking about yourself, your future. Does it involve travel? Maybe not so much, maybe staying locally, right? Sagittarian in the first house. You want to apply those words. You want to mix them all together. You want to understand how to weave all those meanings, and then you have a better knowledge to understand for yourself and not be dependent on me or anybody else as to what's going on in your life. If I lost you, just comment below. But remember, attach a question so I can give you an answer quicker. That will help. And that's June 5th. Again, if you had something that was exact, you are going to feel it strongly. The moon being there gives you that revelation that, oh my God, I had no idea. And it's our beliefs, okay? It's a big thing about ourselves and how we think about ourselves, but more deeply, it's a belief that we've held about ourselves. And so likely when we have a revelation, we're able to release that belief. Go to the next eclipse, and the next one is just 2 weeks later on the 21st of June. And this is at 0 degrees Cancer energy. So again, we're talking about your Cancer energy, right? This is your 8th house. You're going to hear a lot of common themes, all right? Because there's a lot of things that are happening, and it's lighting up these 4 areas of your life. So that first area, the first area I mentioned was your ascendant, and it was all about you, all about who you are and your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about your philosophy on life, your religion, your spirituality, your future. Remember, Sagittarian energy is also knowledge and truth. I'm hearing knowledge and truth and teaching. I keep hearing this over and over and over. So whoever is listening, maybe this is key for you. Truth, knowledge, and teaching. This is a big deal. There are a lot of okay, I'm just going to tell you what's coming through. There's a buttload of teachers out there who aren't teachers because a teacher never forgets that they're a student. This is important to remember. We are always in a process of learning. The minute, the day, the second, the moment we no longer are open to learning, we end our ability to teach. This 0 degrees Cancer. Now, because it's in Cancer, and Cancer's ruler is the moon, it involves emotions as well, right? The other one was lunar and it involved emotions. Solar eclipse, it's really more of about we are going to be getting something. This 0 degree mark is big. It's a cardinal eclipse. It's a gift. Something's coming through. there's going to be an emotional, huge let go and release. This is not just individually, but it is more than globally. This is lifetimes of shit we've held onto. This is baggage. This is stuff we have to let go of. That if we don't believe that there could possibly be baggage from other lifetimes, why? Because we don't believe in other lifetimes. That's fine. So see it as baggage from earlier in this life. And when we have that stuff, we don't realize that those bags weigh us down. And so what's happening is that we're getting downloads. Every eclipse is a download. But this one is huge because it's at 0 degrees Cancer. Cardinal degrees, a 0 degree is a cardinal degree. The word cardinal means a new beginning. Cancer is a cardinal sign. So it's a new beginning. Cancer means family. Cancer means home. Cancer means emotional security. So a new beginning in matters of home and having emotional security. Tie in what's going on globally because it's 0 degrees Cancer. A 0 degree is extremely powerful. If you have something at that degree, you're going to feel this most strongly. If you want to know, comment your stuff below. Your stuff means your birth digits and say, gee, this is what I want to know about. Universe comes in and will assist us to heal. It will assist us to let go of those emotions, those feelings, the experiences we had from our family growing up. I had a question the other day I was reading through. It was a really great point. The person said that they had a lot of stuff that happened in their childhood and that they were concerned because Venus is going to be playing a role in this eclipse, which it is. Venus is very close. Actually, at both of the eclipses, Venus is a player. Venus is in the sign of Gemini. And understanding both ends of the energy line is really important because Sagittarian energy at the opposite of it is Gemini energy. And so now you understand when I said it's Venus plays a role because the first eclipse happened in Sagittarius. Well, at the opposite end was Gemini. Understanding that Gemini is how I think and Sagittarius is what I believe. When we look at the Gemini energy for you guys, your Gemini energy, typically your 7th house energy, so it's how I think about relationships, all right? How I communicate in my significant one-on-one relationships. Gemini energy is also our siblings, okay? So you might be really close with, people you consider siblings, who literally are blood relatives, or those in your life who you're very close to and they just feel like siblings. You look at them, you're like, that feels like my sister. That feels like my brother. 0 degrees Cancer is in your 8th house. Now let's get to the point for you. Your 8th house, 0 degrees. So these were people you were really close to. So if you had a matching degree, that means you likely went through some major changes with people who you were close to in your life. I'm getting lots of information from folks who have lost grandparents and who have lost grandmother, who have lost people that they were very bonded with. And so that could be this, and this will help bring a healing and a release of stuff because the pain hurts so intensely, it's so strong, and it hurts in a way like we don't even understand, like we didn't realize it could hurt that badly because there was already some other healing that needed to be done from old hurts. So this time brings about universal support where we can release the old hurts and then really seriously and truly release pain from our family's past. Release ancestral history. Release, this lineage. There were many races who were just treated so wrongly. And we still got, all these racial hate crimes going on. We've just got a lot of treating human beings or treating beings in general as though they're nothing. This energy, this eclipse energy, universal support to help bring healing. Or when you understand where your Cancer energy is, and remember, anytime I talk about an eclipse, you got to know where the other area of your life it happens in. The opposite energy of that 8th house is your 2nd house, which is your money, because your 2nd house is your resources and your values, all right? Now that's Capricorn energy there, okay? And that Capricorn energy is all about your work. All right, it's about I am very serious because it's Capricorn. It's my responsibilities. So you value rules. You value authority figures. You value having structures. This would be a big thing in ways in which you can make money and an income, being involved in setting up structures because you believe in them, you value them, but you want them to be like 3D tangible stuff you can see, right? Like, okay, these rules need to be written down. You can't just tell me these are the rules and then they don't, they just change. No, you want long-standing structures, long-standing rules. It's all about organizing. Oh God, yeah, organizing would be a big deal. It's all about, I'm not trying to limit you, even though it feels like it, because this is a Saturn-ruled placement in your second house. But Saturn ultimately wants what's best for us. And if we do what Saturn asks, which is follow my rules, it rewards us. If you can have structures and then understand that they're set there for the good for all involved, follow through on them, right? Don't cheat, because Saturn says if you cheat, think of Saturn as Simon. And Simon says, if you try to cheat, right, you get booted out of the game or you get put to the back of the line. Simon says is a great example of the planet Saturn, is a great example and a good way to understand Capricorn energy. Because when you're playing Simon Says, it's a competition with the other players. You want to be the winner. You want to get to the front of the line, right? Capricorn's all about climbing up the hill, going up, and it's the goat. But it's the same idea, right? It's the same idea. I want to win. That is Capricorn energy. And so what do? They're willing to work hard to win. And so this is huge, right? You're going to value all that kind of stuff. Now, this brings me to this next eclipse, okay? This is in July. It's July 5th. It's at 14 degrees Capricorn. So find out where 14 degrees Capricorn is in your chart. 14 degrees Capricorn, second house. I just went all into the second house and the meanings of it. Remember now, eclipses bring change. I know I'm presenting a lot of information here. And as we get closer to the July eclipse, I'll do another video, so I'm not going to spend much time here. Okay, so now we are just going to go over the 4 areas of your life. I know I started going off on a whole bunch of different tangents because there's just so freaking much to talk about, and it all comes pouring in at the same time. So forgive me. I want you to understand something. If you have your own chart, I really want you to learn how to look at both sides of your chart, both sides of the energy. What that means is if I say we're having an eclipse at 14 degrees Capricorn, you're going to look at your 14 degrees Capricorn energy. And if you see that you have nothing there, you're not done. You're going to travel all the way across to the other side of the chart, go to the opposing energy. The opposite of Capricorn is Cancer energy. You want to look to see if you have anything at 14 degrees of Cancer. Anytime we have an eclipse or any energy, any planetary movement, especially the powerful ones, so when I say that, I'm talking like Mars, right? Mars makes stuff happen. Mars, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. Like we never really, the thing about astrology, the beauty of astrology is its completeness. It is not about just this one thing. It is the only thing that I have studied so far that has given me a greater glimpse of the truth. Because truth, to me, I see a pie, and it includes all the slices of the pie. And if we don't have all the slices of the pie, we don't have the whole thing. Okay? My truth pie. So you've got to look at both ends of the energy to really understand what's going on. And when it comes to eclipses, this is imperative. Because you might look at your chart and be like, gee, I'm all good. There's nothing. I have no planets at 14 degrees of Capricorn. But see if you have something at 14 degrees of Cancer. And if you see you have something there, oh my gosh, it gives you so much understanding, right? And then let me know, right? Because you're like, oh great, I don't understand. You're saying I'm going to have understanding, but I don't. I can help you to figure that part out, right? Like that is what I do. All right, that's my passion. That's what I really love to do, which is to get you to where you can then understand that for you, not dependent on me, right? I don't want you to be dependent on me. I love your support. Yes, I love your views and your likes and your comments and you tapping the bell and all that's wonderful. But this community is all about sharing knowledge and helping us getting that much closer to the truth. The next areas of your life that you're going to be focusing on and remembering to stay flexible and open for the rest of 2020, basically, we're going to be looking at your second house and your 8th house. Your second house is your money, your values, how you make money, the things that you value. This also includes you valuing yourself. Now, your 8th house is other folks' money, but it's my shared money. It's my spouse's money. But because we're married, we share that money. Because we're married, we live in the same house. This is our values. This is our car. These are people you're really close to. You know, people you'd be willing to go into business with. People that you literally share bank accounts with. Just remember, the focus of 2020 is the big word change. It's transformation. So those were the 4 areas of your life: yourself and partnerships, your money, and shared money. Those are the 4 things in your life that are going to be transforming. And big time transformation in your relationships, your marriages, your partnerships. Big time, because the North Node's there. And that's for the next 18 months of your life. I hope this has helped. You got any questions? Comment below. Bye.